Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Jurassic Collector here, and today I'm taking a look at the brand new Mattel Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Savage Strike Monolophosaurus. So this figure is relatively new. It's only been found quite recently actually, and it's hit here in Ireland pretty soon actually. Normally we don't get them for a while. This has been available in Ireland and the UK from Smith's, and it was $12.99. And I'm super excited to have been able to get this figure and review it for you guys here today. So I'm super excited to have a Monolophosaurus figure now in my collection that I can actually open. So without any further ado, let's take a closer look at the packaging. So up here in the top left hand corner we have the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous logo and a little arrow to showcase the action feature. Then down on the bottom we have a little picture of the Monolophosaurus and the action feature in play there. And we can see it says Savage Strike Monolophosaurus. And then we have Toro and the gang from Camp Cretaceous and the Mattel logo. And then when we come up we see the beautiful Camp Cretaceous background and the Netflix logo up in the top right corner. And then we have that beautiful, as I said, that Camp Cretaceous packaging there in the background. And then we have the figure itself. Then here on this end of the packaging we just have the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous logo there. And here we again have the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous logo, and then we have the rest of the gang and Bumpy. And then here's the back of the packaging. So you can see up in the top right corner we have the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous logo and the symbol to let you know this is Jurassic Facts app compatible. Then we have the little window here to showcase that it comes with that little Camp Cretaceous pamphlet, and we have the Monolophosaurus in action. We can see it says biting action Monolophosaurus there, and it shows the action to push down on the tail, which of course we will take a look at later in the video. Then down on the bottom here we have the other figures available in this wave. So we have the Velociraptor Charlie, which is just a repack, and we have the Sticky Moloch, which is just a repaint, and then we have a Plesiosaurus, which is a repaint, and that's a really cool repaint actually. And I did manage to get that Plesiosaurus with this Monolophosaurus, so that will be up for review on the channel next. The bottom of the packaging is the same, just some other legal information, and then we have the barcode there, so you can scan that if you want to see does your local store have it. So that is it for the packaging on this figure. Again, the Camp Cretaceous packaging is actually really nice, and it does complement the color scheme that is painted onto this Monolophosaurus quite well. So without any further ado, I think all that's left to do now is get this figure out of the packaging. And here is the figure out of the packaging, and it's actually looking really cool. I have it at a slightly inclined pose, as you can see, and I'm actually really liking the paint scheme that I'm seeing, and there's actually more going on with the paint scheme than I originally thought, and I will talk about that more later on. So first let's just take a close look at the sculpt. So here is the head sculpt, and it looks cool. It has its kind of like bridge up here, as you can see. Then it has some little, I'm not sure what these are called, to be honest. I'm sure some of you guys will let me know down below. They're not osteoderms. I'm not actually sure what they're called. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below what they're called. I don't think they're feathers anyway. I'm not sure. But we can see the face is looking really cool. The face is a lot softer on detail than the body, but the body makes up for that, which you'll see in a minute. But the teeth there are all sculpted. They're sculpted together, not individually. The mouth is looking nice. It is sculpted with a tongue in there, as you can see. And then the roof of the mouth has a small bit of sculpted detail as well. The only thing I don't like about this mold is this hinge here. It just looks, it has like the circle hinge that the young T-Rex had from the Legacy collection. And it just looks a bit odd as opposed to just like a hinge where back here this moved as well. So then when the head kind of ends there, the detail really starts here. Like there's a lot of detail packed into this figure, and it just looks really cool. There's the hands and the claws there, and you can see all of that detail, and there's like lines there. We have these little spikes back here on the back as well, which look really cool. And just look at that detail there where there's like lines here to look like the skin's kind of folded a bit, and there's a bunch of mini scales. You can see that there, all that texture there, it's mini scales. So it is a really nicely textured figure for a Savage Strike at the price point. It is really detailed, and a lot more detailed than I kind of thought, and I think this darker sculpt really brings it out. And then we have the foot here. The foot is sculpted actually really nice as well. It's not too big, and the leg there has some really nice detail as well. A bunch of just mini scales, and then these little spikes that were on the main body and the head, they run along into the tail as well, and they get smaller and smaller as the tail goes down. And again, the tail is packed with detail as well. A bunch of just mini lines and mini scales. Then of course on this side of the figure, the sculpt is the exact same. A really textured body. a lot more than I had anticipated. I didn't realize there was this much sculpting on this particular Savage Strike Monolophosaurus, but I think it's this darker paint scheme that really brings it out. There's even some nice sculpted detail underneath the body there. You can see more finer scales, even underneath the tail. So now let's talk about the paint scheme. So you can see it has some red on top of the crest here, and that's kind of patterned around the eye there. And we have a bright green eye with a black pupil dot, and I'm really happy to see that they actually did give it like a black pupil or dot there for the eye, instead of just having the color behind show through. The bright green with the black dot really just pops out. Then we have some yellow that's underneath the red there, and there's even a little bit of green painted on just above the teeth there. So there's 3 colors going on in the head, and then the eye, which is 4. So there's a bunch of actual paint detail going on in the head, a lot more than I thought. Then the teeth are the nice kind of just teeth cream color, and the mouth is painted a nice red color, just mouth red, and so is the sides of the mouth there. You can see they're painted too. The roof of the mouth is not painted, but that's no big deal. Then running along into the rest of the body, we have this nice mustard yellow that's patterned throughout almost to the very end. On the spikes it runs to the very end, but it just ends with the paint on the body to there. And if I do that, you can see it actually really does have a nice pattern to it down here. You can see the way it kind of goes across like almost tiger stripes. And then I thought kind of that was it for the paint. The toe claws aren't painted, neither are the claws and the hands, but it actually doesn't matter on this figure because the feet and the claws and the hands are very dark anyway, so the painting the toe claws wouldn't have really stood out, so it looks fine on this figure. So the body up here, the main kind of torso and like the tops of the legs are like a very dark kind of like mossy army green there. You can see even here it's like a nice army, very very dark green. But then down here underneath the actual figure itself and on the bottom parts of the legs, it transitions very very smoothly to this very 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 dark green. It's just very dark, but it's hard. I think it's hard to see on camera. It's kind of even hard to see in person, and that's just adding a level to the paint scheme that I really did not expect to see. And I didn't even expect it when I opened it up and had it in normal lighting. I didn't really see it until I got into studio lighting. It is a nice army green, very dark green up on top, and then it transitions very smoothly to this very dark kind of green, and underneath the body there almost looks black. It's very subtle, but it is there. You can see it's green there and then very dark, and it's just a really smooth transition, and I really did not expect it. And of course the paint on this side is identical to the opposite side. On the top of the tail it does have a bit of this kind of darker green on top, but then it transitions to that very very dark color down there. So even the tail has it's very subtle and not 100% like noticeable straight away, but it is there the more you look at it, and it's very prominent again here where it's, you can see it is a lighter green than it is down here. It's a lot darker down on the legs and underneath the body and the arms. So then here is the bottom of the figure. As you can see, it is very very dark as opposed to kind of like the top half of the torso and the body. Here's the T-Rex stamped into the foot to let you know it is an official Mattel Jurassic World product. And then we have the DNA scan code to scan that into the Jurassic Facts app. I'm not sure if it'll scan in. I don't know if it's been updated, but you guys can try it if you want. So now let's talk about articulation. So the jaw does move, but it is tied into the action feature, which we'll take a look at in a minute. Then the arms are on ball joints, so they can move forward and backwards, and then they can come out as well, so they can move kind of every way like that. So they're on ball joints, both of those arms. The legs do move forward and backwards, and they kind of are on that ratchet joint there, as you can see. And they both do move inward and outward there, just like that, as you can see, for added stability. And then the tail is also tied into the action feature. So overall that gives this figure a total of 4 points of articulation, and then the tail and the mouth are tied to the action feature. So what is the action feature? So if I just hold down the feet here of the body, and then it's activated through the tail and the mouth will move. So as you can see, it kind of has a chomping action, and it is actually quite hard on mine. So when I pull back on the tail, the mouth kind of moves there, as you can see, but it only kind of wants to close to there, and then I have to push the tail. And it kind of feels like I'm going to break it to get the mouth to close fully. So as you can see, that's kind of where it tries to close to. So the mouth's not actually really closed there. So to close it, I have to push it down, but then it almost looks like the tail's gonna snap off. So maybe it could be refined for future releases to kind of close a bit easier, because it feels like I'm gonna break that tail to close them out completely. But it is a pretty cool little just chomping feature. So here is the Monolophosaurus next to Dr. Grant. So as you can see, the Monolophosaurus is almost up to Dr. Grant's shoulders there. But then if I pull the figure up in kind of this inclined pose, which I think looks better and it makes the figure look bigger and menacing, it's kind of staring directly into Dr. Grant's eyes. Then here we have it with the Savage Strike Postosuchus. This is actually a really cool figure as well. So it's obviously taller than Postosuchus, even in its kind of like horizontal position. And it is actually longer than Postosuchus as well. They're kind of lined up there together. And it is just ever so slightly longer. Then here we have one of the Attack Pack Raptors with the Monolophosaurus. They are very similar in size. So we can see the Monolophosaurus is slightly smaller in height than the raptor at this position. When I pull the Monolophosaurus up in the inclined position, it then does become taller than the raptor. So then here we have the Monolophosaurus next to the Camp Cretaceous Epic Roaring T-Rex. As you can see, of course, the T-Rex absolutely towers over the Monolophosaurus. T-Rex really does look big in comparison to this Monolophosaurus, I have to say. So that is my review of the brand new Mattel Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Savage Strike Monolophosaurus figure by Mattel. This figure is actually really cool, and I really do like it. The paint scheme, as I showed you guys, was a lot more detailed than I thought. So I actually really do like this figure. I think it looks really good. The sculpt was a lot more detailed than I had anticipated it was going to be. The head was kind of softer on detail, but then the body had a bunch of detail packed into it, and that really impressed me as well. The action feature, when I pulled the tail down fully, it kind of felt like it was going to break off. So if you find this figure yourselves, I would highly recommend that you guys actually do pick it up. I really like it, and Monolophosaurus is not a figure that we get a huge amount of, at least here in Ireland. So I'm really happy to actually see a repaint of Monolophosaurus for the Camp Cretaceous line. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please make sure to hit the like button down below, and also subscribe if you have not already. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified every time I upload a brand new video. See you in the next video, guys. Peace out. Rah, rah.